What if Deku was an Otsotsuki? How would this impact the My Hero Academia storyline? And is this just a whack, dumbed down version of my previous What If Deku Was an Otsotsuki? No, honestly, I rewatched it and I didn't really like what I did. I felt that it wasn't as realistic as it could have been, so here's today's video. While I know it's short, it's realistic and it gets down to the point. So if you guys enjoyed it any moment, make sure to go down below, smash that like button, and if you don't like the video, subscribe. That said, enjoy. Or don't. That's fine by me.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
So for this What If in particular, we're actually going to be following the Naruto lore universe thing, where the Otsotsukis are basically planet-conquering parasites. Now, this version of Deku is not going to be born on the planet Earth to Inko or Hisashi Midoriya at all. Instead, they're going to be having a daughter this time around whose name is going to be something random like that Inko would name her, right? But Izuku is going to be a lot different than what you guys might be thinking. Now, Izuku was tasked with going over and conquering planet Earth and also claiming its chakra fruit. Izuku would be on one of his first ever missions and would just decide that he's going to get this done quick and efficiently. So essentially what happens is Izuku ends up flying towards the planet of Earth. Once he arrives and he looks down at all these creatures, he realizes that they have a couple of similarities to his own species. He ends up learning a couple of things about their customs, their culture, hero society in and of itself, and through this, he ends up realizing that this planet's people are not that bad. However, Izuku has a job, and he's here to get it done. Izuku proceeds to essentially start doing his thing, essentially planting the world tree and beginning to start the operation to get a chakra fruit going, beginning to essentially siphon all the chakra from this planet. When this starts happening, a bunch of heroes are immediately alerted of the situation. And they're all like, yo, this dude's over here trying to like do some stuff to our planet, right? It's in Japan. And the next country that he's going to be going to is going to be the United States. After that, he's going to go to like, I don't know, some other place. I don't really know a lot of countries. But basically, Izuku is essentially going to go to Japan first, right? He starts trying to plant a chakra tree. He gets almost done with it, but this is when heroes arrive. Now, heroes alike would begin trying to take a stand to Deku, and they would say, "You're not doing this." A bunch of heroes, such as Kaminu Wood and stuff like that, would end up getting in Izuku's way, and Izuku would honestly have fun. He literally begins to toy with them, using jutsus and different abilities to essentially siphon them and render these heroes useless, to the point where they have no answers to Izuku. It's too easy for Izuku to simply take all of these people out. He's having fun, he's destroying them left and right, and eventually more of the top heroes end up arriving, such as Endeavor. This is one fight that Izuku would laugh at a lot, because while he was simply flying in the air using one of his scythes, he would essentially look towards Endeavor and say, "You there, you seem to be the strongest." Endeavor looks at Izuku and says, "And I am." He would shoot a beam of fire at Izuku, and Izuku holds one hand up before absorbing the flames into himself and saying, "What a pitiful human," before he then blitzes at him and cuts Endeavor clean in half, in front of a bunch of news stations who were there recording the entire situation. Izuku then goes on to pretty much obliterate single-handedly every other person that's nearby, and he would charge up a massive Bijudama-like attack that would destroy a majority of all the heroes that were present, wiping out a fourth of the entire city that they were in. This is when eventually one man would be called to the scene. This person being All Might, who I'm pretty sure you were all pretty much aware of. And when All Might arrives to what's going on, he looks towards the direction of Izuku, who is essentially just laughing, destroying villains, and destroying a huge part of the city, more than he already had destroyed. Izuku would look towards the direction of All Might and say, "Pitiful human, get out of my way," as he uses his chakra to push All Might away, but All Might would simply stand there and say, "I am here, villain. I'll take you down." Izuku, hearing these words from All Might, would say, Sure thing. And All Might comes in and pretty much hits Izuku square in the jaw. Izuku essentially turns his face ever so slightly before a small amount of blood begins dripping down his face, and he would look to All Might before then returning the favor with one of his very own punches that would send All Might crashing through 7 buildings before All Might finally is able to get back up and jump back in front of Izuku. He throws a Texas Smash, which Izuku is able to completely withstand, and he would look to All Might before saying, "Are we done here?" before he then performs hand signs for a jutsu, and he shoots a massive amount of flames towards the direction of All Might. Now All Might watching this would be utterly shocked at the power that this person is displaying, and suddenly this is when the military forces would end up arriving. Izuku would watch this all with just laughter. He is thinking that these humans are so cute because of their just foolish efforts of trying to hold them back, but nothing's working. And essentially, Izuku would end up having enough of his playtime and eventually eradicating the entirety of Japan from the map, eventually summoning that of the Ten Tails Husk, and pretty much beginning to have a calamities after calamities go down on the earth, which Izuku is currently just devastating over and over and over. Izuku is pretty powerful. And when it comes to America and his fight against Stars and Stripes, this would be an interesting one because Stars and Stripes would use a condition that essentially leaves Izuku powerless or quirkless per se. Now, this would not actually affect Izuku, and this would cause Stars and Stripes to be very shocked at what's going on. So she would end up say, render him powerless and give me a bunch of power of my own. Eventually, Stars and Stripes would begin getting a bit of an upper hand due to the fact that now Naruto has no access to, sorry, not Naruto, but Izuku has no access to chakra, begins to essentially fall back and begins to actually experience a bit of loss in the battle. Eventually, though, he would say, enough! And he would essentially blitz towards Stars and Stripes with nothing but his pure physical just speed and strength, and would essentially pound Stars and Stripes into the ground. Pause. But once he's done doing this, a bunch of America's heroes would eventually arrive onto the scene, and if we're being completely honest, Izuku's takeover of this planet is going to be as effortless as it would be to take candy from a baby. It's so simple. Izuku ends up consuming the chakra fruit and essentially flying back to his planet, leaving Earth in a state of just destruction. Fires all over the place, everybody's screaming, people are dying left and right. That's what would happen if Deku was an Otsotsuki. Realistically, I mean, Izuku, if he was an Otsotsuki, is not going to come to the planet and fall in love with some human or begin getting some crazy connection to these humans. That's not going to happen. But let's just say it did. Here's option 2. Now, obviously, Izuku coming to Earth and finding out the Earth's custom would end up essentially beginning to, let's say, get close. Just hypothetically, right? He gets close, he ends up joining the humans, he ends up pretty much taking part of the destruction of most of the villains and ends up becoming a very powerful #1 hero. He ends up inheriting the power of One for All from All Might because, as we know, Otsotsukis are not about to deny power. After he does this, the Otsotsuki would end up finding out of Izuku's apparent betrayal, going to planet Earth themselves, and essentially annihilating him since he's yet not even a full-grown Otsotsuki. He's pretty much 14 years old in terms of Earth years, and Izuku just gets wiped off the map by a bunch of other Otsotsuki who end up arriving and essentially being on cleanup duty once Izuku's grown up to more about like 25-ish, but he still is unable to defeat the Otsotsuki. Let's say that about 3 of them show up and destroy him. That's essentially what would happen. Regardless of what path we take, Earth is pretty much doomed. And that's just me being 100% realistic. That said, what did you guys think of the video? Did you guys really think that I was about to go more towards the happy path and there was going to be like some happy ending? If you did, make sure to leave a like. If you disliked the video, make sure to subscribe. And if you really hate me, you really want me to know that, comment down below that you love me. Anyways though, I love you guys all. Peace out. That's been your boy Zed for today, and I'll hit you guys with the what if tomorrow.